Hello, Dione. You're welcome to Shantia's Haven.
Thank you, Shantia. I'm so very elated to be in this program today.
I'm happy that you could make our time to be with us here. Hello, viewers. Hello, parents. Hello, guardians. How is the ride so far with the children? I hope that you are learning some lessons from Shantia's Haven. You're once more welcome to your favorite show, Shantia's Haven. On Shantia's Haven, we talk about the family. The family is the foundation of the society. If the family is well, then we can be sure of a better society. That is why on Shantia's Haven, we go by one family at a time for a better society. So today on Shantia's Haven, we have a wonderful guest for a very tricky but nice topic. I like this topic very much because it's a topic that is a personal topic that I have lived it as a child growing up. So I would like our viewers, I would like our guardians to learn a thing or two. Today we have someone who is fit for this topic. We have Francisca Dione with us. She's a mother of four big children, and I believe she has gone through this stage. But what is this topic about? We'll be right back. Growing up, especially with children who had both parents with them, they've always had this thing of my favorite parent is my daddy or my favorite parent is my mother. And when you ask them why, they will tell you, maybe someone will say, if I ask something from my father will give me easily. If I ask my mom, she would just ask so many questions and she will not give me. So I prefer my father to my mother. Or you say, I prefer my mother to my father because my mother is more lenient. Children have their way and they have their reasons why they prefer one parent to the other. Today we are talking about discipline in our homes. So, Dionne, discipline, according to you, what do you think it is?
To me, discipline is about setting up rules and regulations to be able to govern a place or environment. It could be in the family setting, it could be at the workplace. When it's in any environment, there must be rules and regulations to govern or guide a place. So, discipline is that the ability to be able to, set those rules and implement them and met out sanctions to anyone who violates, the rules and regulations.
I like the way you put it. She says discipline are rules. She didn't say disciplines are rules that are set by the father or rules that are set by the mother, especially in a family setting. Here on Chantel's Haven, it's about the family. Now I've come across families and other people who they differ. The parents are different. They have different backgrounds and they come together. How do you think they can cope? Because I have seen parents who argue a lot in their homes because of their own differences in the way they want to discipline their children. So what do you think these parents can do?
I Before you even get to have children, I believe that you would have known your partner and know what your partner can do and cannot do. You know exactly who is the disciplinarian in the family and who is the lenient one.
Okay.
So to me, the disciplinarian should not go overboard with disciplining, and the lenient parents shouldn't also be too soft on the children. There should be some
Balance.
yes, there's some
Striking a
yeah, they should
balance
strike a
somewhere.
balance as to how they are going to discipline their kids, because if this isn't done, the parents, oh sorry, the children will go wayward.
Okay.
Let me take an example. I come from a broken home,
Okay.
and my father was a disciplinarian, and my mother, both of them anyway, but my father was more of a disciplinarian than my mother.
Okay.
But what we'd do was we would navigate between them. Like if we're going to, my father lived in Tico at that time. If I want to go to Tico or want to go somewhere else, I'll tell my mom I'm going to Tico, and then I go somewhere else. Because my parents were not on talking terms, they wouldn't know, where I've gone to and, all those things. So if not by the grace of God, all of us would have gone wayward as a result of that fact. So it is very important for the two parents, even if they're not on talking terms, to be able to set those rules and say this child must do this, must do this, must do this, and nobody should go against it.
Okay.
If one parent goes against it, that is how the child will take advantage of the situation and then start doing
And trust
things.
children, they can really take advantage of those,
Sure,
and they know it very well when they
sure,
know that there's a difference.
sure.
Oh, that's true. That takes us to, even if you live together with your spouse, as parents, if you live together with your spouse, you set these rules at the very beginning. And it's true, we may have surprises. You may have some children who behave in a way, and you remember that, oh, we didn't set any rules about this. But then I think immediately people can come together and try to put out rules for this thing and put it in order. But I see cases where, what can you say in the cases where one parent is really struggling to make it work in the family, setting those rules and putting things in order, and the other, who is the lenient type, is over lenient, pampering the children and making them really, the other person, because I faced situations where the parents are like, my husband is spoiling those children, they are going wayward, and I'm trying to gather them and put that. I've had some parents talk like that, and the question is, how do we balance this when you find yourself in that kind of situation?
I think dialogue plays a very important role
Okay.
when it comes to this aspect, because if the partners, the husband and wife, can't really communicate about where they want the children to go to, and the enforcing discipline, it is really not going to go anywhere. It starts with lots of dialogue and communication and understanding too, because if you
Okay.
don't understand, with everything in life, there's a purpose. If you don't understand the purpose of something, it is abused. So,
Right.
if the husband or the wife doesn't communicate to the other partner that these children, we want them to be God-fearing children, they must go to church, they must go for Bible studies, they must go for this, and the other person doesn't know why they have to do all of this, that is when
Okay.
there's going to be lots of compromise, lots of leniency on the other party. So it's a matter of communication, understanding for the two partners to be able to come to a consensus as to where and how they want
Okay,
this
that
children to.
means, from drawing from what you're saying, it means that the parent who wants to implement a new rule in the house should communicate with their partner first, and communicate it in a way that that partner will understand you and understand why this new rule is coming into the home, so that with or without your presence, the person can stand for what you want to stand for.
Definitely, definitely.
So parents, we should have our rules and regulations in our homes that both of us abide by, and stand for, and we understand it. And I don't know, what if, let's say, I come to the house and the rules that were supposed to be set are not set the way they are. The children have not done what I wanted them to do, or they are not acting in the way I would want them to act. And I am angry as a parent, and the other parent was at home when that was done. How should I react?
First and foremost, remember I said you guys must have come to a compromise as to the established rules in the
Yes.
house. So you'd inevitably know that your husband or your wife, has not enforced what you people talked about.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean that you pour out your anger in front of the children, like you start, condemning your partner in front of your
Okay.
children.
Okay.
What you will do at that point, since your husband already knows that these are the rules of the house, you go ahead and discipline the children, and then go back to your husband or to your wife and tell him or her that, I don't understand why this had to happen this way. What happened? Maybe there's a reason behind it. Then you talk about it, and so subsequently, people should at least, enforce what you talked about.
That's a very important point. Don't do it in front of the children. We have seen cases where one spouse is either correcting another spouse in front of the children or shouting. The spouse may not even be direct, like, why are you not doing this? The spouse may talk as if you're talking to everybody, but everybody understands that you're talking to your wife or to your husband. When you do that, these children pick it up. I had a parent who said, there's a child in the house, the children, and the husband shouts at their mother, such that when the husband is not around and the children do something wrong, and the mother wants to discipline them, the children tell the mother that if you do anything to me, when daddy comes back, I'll tell him and he will beat you. Because these children have seen daddy beating mommy, and they think but that maybe mommy is some big sister in the house or whatever in their minds. How could you even think of doing that in front of the children? When it comes to discipline, we must be in harmony. Now, this case of, like, you just gave me a situation of where you say you leave your mom's place and you can say you're going to your dad's house and you go somewhere else, but because they were not in agreement. I think that, especially when it comes to asking for money or asking for something with children, I think there should be some communication between the two, right, before it is done. Like, how do you think they can go about that?
That's very correct, because I have 4 grown kids,
Okay.
and they used to play that trick on us sometimes.
Okay.
They'll go to their dad, the dad will give them money, and then when I ask, because I'll always ask, do you have some money on you? They'll say no. I'll add. Then afterwards, my husband will tell me, I gave him 10,000 francs or gave her 10,000 francs. Like, what? But you didn't tell me that you gave her 10,000 francs. I gave her extra 5,000 francs. So right now we talk about those things. When he wants to give the money, he'll tell me that he's going to give this amount to so and so kid, and I'll be aware so that I know that I will not have to add or subtract to what he has given to the kids.
I met this other man who said he's never grown to know that the father and the mother were two different people, that they grew up to know that they are the same person. So if the father says you are not supposed to be out of the house on Sunday at 5 p.m. and you want to go and tell the mother that you want to go at 5 p.m., the mother will say you are not supposed to go. He said he doesn't know how they did it, but they worked like one person. So they just knew that if they ask Papa for something, mommy will say the same thing. So it's no use when you come here and it's like this. Just take it. That's the gospel truth in the house. Because I looked at it and I was wondering how they managed to get to this level. That should be some commitment in ensuring discipline in the home. I feel so, and which parents can learn from this and take it.
Sure.
Yes, because if you come and sometimes even for the benefit of doubt, maybe if your spouse even is saying you should do something, the child should do something, and you don't like it, for the sake of something, if the thing is not something that is very detrimental to the child, you can let it be. The child does it. Your heart may be paining inside, but you let it be for the sake of peace. Then afterwards, you come now and both of you talk about it. You say that thing you told our child to do, I don't think it was really okay. Maybe you put discuss it and now you adjust it. I think when you adjust it, the person who started by sending that child to do that thing should still be the same person correcting, not the other one, so that you don't look like, oh, I prefer this other one or this one is yes. I feel, I don't know how, but our children should see us as one.
Yeah, as you rightly said, and it depends on the kind of discipline you're also deciding to enforce on those kids. Maybe that's a topic for another day.
Okay.
Because sometimes you decide to mete out corporal punishment on the child, whereas that is not the right way to do it.
Okay.
Children are different. So when you do you beat them up, and then they'll get more stubborn.
Yeah.
Some you counsel them and they'll get more stubborn instead. So you have to strike a balance to be able to study your children, to know how you're going to discipline them. Is it to their detriment or to their advantage? We have to come to that compromise. Me, for example, my kids are almost adults. I can't go start trashing them because they did something wrong. There are other ways of doing it. Maybe withdraw something from them, maybe their phones, or maybe you say pocket allowance is going to drop by maybe how many percent. There's various ways to discipline a child. There are various ways to do that. So we should not stick on only one aspect or one method of meting out punishments on children. Okay. The parents also, they have a very important role to play when it comes to their background. Some of them, they grew up in harsh conditions. Their parents will beat them if at all they don't wash plates. They'll beat them if they don't pass an examination. They'll beat them if they grew up in that way of discipline.
Yeah.
Another parents may not be the same. maybe they'll say the parent was spoiled when he was growing or she was growing up, because the father will always have other ways to, go around punishing the child, which to the other parent is not as, as effective as he would have wanted it to be. Like I said before, dialogue is very important. When we come together, we come from two different backgrounds. Sometimes it's very, very difficult to be able to understand your partner and work with him or her in that aspect. But when we talk about it, when you talk generally, we talk gradually or continuously, at one point in time, you come to at least a consensus, one common ground where you
Yes,
could be able
I
to.
think each partner should be ready to, some of them should be ready to step down, others should be ready to step up. Don't stand there and say, come and meet me where I am, or you be down there and say, come and meet me here and let's strike this balance. I think it's, yes, that's a very important point. Our backgrounds, they differ, but then what we have is the goal. What do we want for this child? Like you talked about purpose at the beginning. If you know the purpose and you know what you want to achieve in your home, the kind of home you want to have, then you will implement this discipline in the way that you want it to be.
Personally, I must say I'm not much of a disciplinarian than my husband.
Okay.
It's much more, and sometimes he takes some decisions. I'm like, what? I'm shocked myself because of his background.
Yeah.
We had our backgrounds are so contrasting. We can't even compare the two. But I've been able to understand that this is where he comes from, and this is how his parents treated him. So he wants to do the same thing to his children. On the other hand, also, there are some things which some kind of rules that he puts up. Sometimes I don't see any reason why. Maybe because of my background as well.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I realized that he was right, because that child, how you see how the child turns out.
Okay.
You start realizing that what he was doing or what my husband was doing was the correct way to discipline that child. So
I feel that when you realize that he was right, parents, you may find yourself in this situation. Maybe when you realize it, go to your spouse and say, "Oh, you were right about that thing." Still tell the spouse, even though even though the results are there and glaring, still talk to the spouse that I see that you were right here, because see how this child has turned out. It would also help to make you people come to some compromise, and it would look like there's some communication between two of you. Wow, it's been a rich package on discipline. We can't exhaust it today. But dear parents, dear viewers, and dear guardians, please do not do conflict when it comes to disciplining your children. Dialogue, dialogue. I would ask our guest to give her last word to the audience.
Well, I will just echo what the presenter, Shantia, has said about discipline, that there should be a lot of dialogue between the parents. Otherwise, the child will just go wayward, because there is no way on earth that discipline cannot be implemented. It's going to be a disorganized society.
Yeah.
Just talk about before we're created. Our God is orderly. So we should be able to follow that trend and implement it also in our daily lives, with our families, with our children, with even our organizations. Why not? So discipline must be enforced in every aspect of our life.
Wow. Thank you so much, Dione, for this time.
You're welcome.
Discipline must be enforced. It must be implemented in our homes. In any way that you can do it, make it work. We need discipline. Without rules and regulations, you don't want to know what this world will look like, and you don't want to know what your home will look like. So maybe you want to take out time with your spouse and you could revisit what you had put down as your discipline, as your rules, or the templates in your home for discipline, and you want to check if you're doing it well, or you want to take out some time and do a review of how you've been doing it. Is it working? If it's not working, you want to change strategies and reinforce and make sure that you work as one person. So your children will see mommy and daddy as one person when it comes to discipline and to rules and regulations. Thank you so much for watching Shantia's Haven. Remember to always leave it better than you met it. See you some other time on Shantia's Haven. Bye-bye. Bye.